Hello and good evening. Welcome to Ending Well with Minnelle. My name is Minnelle Williams. I am a pre-planning funeral director at the New Haven Funeral Center and end-of-life educator. I like to have these difficult conversations because I believe the more you know, the better you'll be, more comfortable, and then more likely to act on your end of life planning. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy our conversation tonight. I'm very excited to have Desiree Wilson with me. We are going to be discussing downsizing, preserving memories, and simplifying our spaces. So for all of us who are thinking about the process of downsizing our parents, this is the episode to tune into. Please share it with anybody else that you think would benefit from this conversation. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. That way you won't miss any of the future conversations. All right. Desiree, let me invite you to welcome. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start off with the icebreaker. Even before you introduce yourself or tell anyone anything, here's my question for you. Okay, we're going to do the real question tonight. If you were to pass today, what is something you would want to share and let anybody know about yourself?
What I would like to share and what I want people to know about myself is that I am just a down-to-earth, chill chick. I love my family. I take care of my family. I love what I do on a day-to-day. And I just don't want them to sob at my funeral. I want it to be a time of just remembering experiences that we've had, how I've impacted their lives, how they've impacted mine, things that we've shared, and just know that I loved every moment that I've had on this earth. And I also want them to know that it's very important that you should also consider what happens after you pass. I always live my life every day. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I posted that I live every day thinking that it could be my last day, but it could also be the day God returned or Christ returned. So always keep those two in mind when you live every day and live to the fullest within those parameters.
Live well knowing that it can change at any moment, right?
Any moment in time. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm trying to live more now than 65, right? Absolutely.
Let's be present and enjoy these days, especially while we're healthy and able to.
Exactly.
Okay, so please introduce yourself. Tell us your background and a little bit about your business, if you could.
Sure. My name is Desiree Wilson. I work at Remax. I am a realtor. I've been a realtor for about 5 or 6 years now. But previously I was in retail and I was a buyer there. And I just noticed that retail is going downhill. Sorry for all those still in retail. I loved it. Great experience. I learned a lot. But I just noticed that it just wasn't a future for me because people don't go to the mall anymore. People don't shop anymore. So I just thought that it would be a good time to transition, use a lot of the skills that I used as a buyer in retail and transition into real estate where I can use those same skills, great impact on people's lives. But at first it was just, I can use these skills. I'm probably good at it. And it's a great return on your investment in terms of time. But then I noticed that I really enjoy working with families. Like I would help them find homes and then I'll go to their events and maybe they're having children and their children are playing in the backyard. And I'm like, wow, I played a part in this. I was able to give them, or within my abilities, to give them a great life that they can share with their family and friends. And it just warms my heart. So I really love what I do. And I help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate.
Beautiful. Okay. So we're going to take your years of experience and apply them to our parents specifically tonight.
Yes.
So let's go. Okay. Now, jumping into this, I know, and if you are able, a lot of us want to age in place, right? We want to stay in our home. You find us our forever home. We were happy. We're there until we pass. But that's not the case for everybody. And sometimes we're looking at our parents and we're saying, it's getting a little hard for you to manage. Maybe they're calling for us to come more often than we are able to help them with some of the care of the home and that. Right. How do we have the conversation, and you've helped people through this, navigate these conversations with our parents to say, it might be time for you to downsize? How do we do that?
Yes. So I've actually done this by default because I had to experience this with my family first. And then I noticed just in that transition, they need a lot of help. We think that they're so capable because they've raised us their whole lives, but they need a lot of help. And sometimes they don't even know where to start. So I've helped my family do the downsizing, my husband's family as well. And I think that what I recommend with the clients that I've had after that, when I noticed that, I can definitely have a niche in this area, is I encourage them, because a lot of them are the children of the parents, because the parents aren't reaching out to me saying, when can I move at all? So the kids are saying, yeah, my parents are getting up there and I don't think they can manage this. What do I do? I would definitely recommend that they start having just open dialogue, start having conversations with their parents, just understanding where they're at, and just having, casual conversation. So what I say is, you can sit with them and you can definitely ask them, how's everything going here? What do you enjoy doing? What do you not like so much about where you are right now? And where can I help you? So definitely get them to open up more about what it is that they like and don't like about living where they are. And then you can start asking, the snow was really high this winter. How did you manage that? The grass out there is growing every day. Like, how do you get out there? Do you get help? What resources do you have? And then they'll start to realize themselves that there is a need. So then when you get that out of them, you can start having conversations about how can I help you, as opposed to them feeling forced to leave the comfort of their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that way. Flipping it, rather than saying, this is something that I'm parenting you, I'm taking away your autonomy. And now instead it's, how can I help you? And that is so much easier to say, because you might get more than what you even think. You're thinking about the house, and they might tell you even more. So the more we have these conversations, even better.
And in real estate, it's very similar. So as a child now, in real estate, I help others understand their need, what the problems are, and then I problem solve. So what the child needs to do is exactly the same thing. They have to understand what the needs are and how can I solve those problems for you, but just in a more loving and patient way.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. All right. So myself, the same. I've had the same done by force, where I had to downsize the house. But when it comes time, now we talk about this, when it comes time to downsizing a parent's home, as the children, especially while dealing with everything else involved, I just literally go to the shelves and donate, throw out everything, as I tell
you. Sleep.
Gone. Yeah. There was no time.
I totally can see that.
No time. Everything. Like, now I look back, I'm like, where was that? Everything's gone. So we look to hire somebody else. Say we come to you and say, how can you help us declutter this house? What is the method that you use? Teach us so that.
Well, I've been there. So I had to learn the hard way, because I'm just like you. You're just like, Mom, why do you need this? When is the last time you saw this? You won't even know it's gone. You go through that whole transition. And my parents actually had a storage facility, and they had a lot of stuff. They've had them for years. And I mean years. And you think about all the money that's spent to maintain these things. Sometimes I want to communicate to them, like, look at how much we spent. We could have purchased all these things 2 times over, right? And it could have been, newer and shinier, right? So I definitely want to bring that to attention, that it is expensive to keep things. When you start downsizing, you have to find a means to keep the things that you love, but that could be costly. So I do bring that to their attention. I also remember helping my mom, and we're going through a storage unit, and we're getting rid of things, and I did have to chuck things behind her back, absolutely. But then I remember when I was on a chucking fest, me and my brother, we were just tossing stuff, right? But then I came across a box, and then I like, you know what, let me slow down, let me open it. And then I saw that there were letters in there from my dad to my mom in their 20s. He lived in the States, and she lived back home in Barbados, and he wrote her letters every single day. They were in pristine condition. They were still in this binder. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was just about to toss this without even looking. So that made me realize that there is some value in what they have. And there's definitely things that can't be replaced. There are things that are priceless. So I do recommend that you do take the time. You do go through them. When it comes time to throw things away, ask them, what do we love here? What are the things that we absolutely love that we can't get rid of? Or what are the things that are not so, we don't need them necessarily in our next transition. You kind of have to explain to them that, or take them to the facility that they're going to, possibly take a tour of the space, help them visualize that we don't have a lot of space, and then go through that process. I also recommend letting them know that there are others that are in need. There are churches, there are community centers, there's Value Village, there's people that can use these items that you're not necessarily using on a day-to-day. So once you break all of that down to them, I also get the kids to help because I want to stay on their good side.
Use cuteness.
Yeah, decluttering is step one. So you don't want to be the bad guy day one. You definitely have the kids come in and help that, good cop, bad cop. And then I also have a service that comes and they can help declutter as well. And then I will pay for that up front, just so you can have that peace of mind that someone's going to take the time. You'll have a keep box, you'll have a trash box, and you'll have a donate box. Definitely. And they have the skills to help reason so they can get through that process a lot easier. And I can stay on their good side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is, I'm like, hold on. I know we're talking about downsizing our parents from their homes, but I'm thinking, this can be used right now. But this might be, every 5 years, every 10 years, we do that checkup of the paperwork. Let's also do the checkup of the stuff in the house.
Yeah.
Right.
I also remember how hard it is for me to throw away things for things I see valuable. I still have textbooks from college. Why? I'm never looking at them again. So I have to understand their position. Put yourself in their shoes for sure.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So my question then is, what do we keep, right? Okay. So we're talking about what we get rid of, but what are some things that, like the box of letters, what are some things that we want to make sure we keep and bring to the facility homes?
So I definitely recommend that you go through the items. There are some family heirlooms that are kept that you would want to keep within the family and pass it down. There are the jewelry, you want to keep things of value. You also want to keep things that your children can use or your children's children can use. So these are things I want them to keep. When you go into the facility, you want to keep, of course, the furniture and the bare minimum to keep you comfortable in your new place. But a lot of the things aren't needed that you used to have, because a lot of the things that you used are now taken care of for you, whether that's personal care or whether that's, things that you want to do your hair or iron. Like, a lot of these things could be done for you. So you may not necessarily need to keep it. So definitely understanding where you're going and have them tell you what to bring and what not to bring is important as well.
I love that. I think it's key. I jipped away for just a second, but I know part of it is some other things are provided, but also those things, like for Dad, like the things that make him feel like home.
Yes.
And to remind him and remind others of who you are,
Right.
So those little beautiful trinkets, maybe like we talk about having those textbooks, those certificates like that we have still here. Like, I've got mine right over there. I'm going to carry that with me and I'm going to be proud of it, wherever I go, even if I have a small space. So yes, I love that.
Yeah, definitely lots of pictures too. They want to see their family all around them. They want to feel like they're comforted by the things that they see. So yeah, definitely keep those things as well.
Okay. Now, when we're moving, let's say our parents aren't at the stage where we're ready to go to a home, but they're in a 4-bedroom house or whatever it might be, and it's too much space for this one person who can't take the stairs, as an example.
Right.
It's better for them to, in this climate, for them to now sell their big house and purchase something smaller, or sell the big house and rent.
Well, this is a tricky one. Because there's sometimes there's not a one size fits all in this situation. It definitely depends on your situation and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And it definitely depends on this family structure that you have. So a lot of parents, they have children that can definitely benefit from those funds. Let's be real. So we're in Toronto, and a lot of even friends of mine in their 30s and 40s can't get into the market. So we definitely want to understand that it's a family conversation and not just what it is that they are looking to do. Of course, you have to take care of your parents. You want to make sure the kids are going to take care of all of your finances when it comes to going to the senior living facility. But you also want, I think the best deal is for the money to last and to grow and to span generation to generation. So I would definitely recommend that you have that conversation with either a financial advisor or the senior living specialist, understand what the children would want. I know a lot of people want to put their children in their will, but sometimes it can be tricky when the money is passed on later as opposed to today. Sometimes there are a lot of hands in that bucket before it gets to the children. So you have to be transparent. You have to be make them aware, because sometimes they just don't know. So I will have that conversation with them. I'll also have that conversation with the children as well, because I know that in Toronto, inflation is crazy. The appreciation of homes is insane. So what that say for, even if you had $25,000 to pass on to your children, as opposed to hundreds of thousands or millions, that $25,000 for me would 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when I first purchased my home, it would have done a lot more for me than it today, or it would 20 years from now when they are to pass. So definitely explain to them that it is a good idea to have that conversation. I know in our culture, that's not something we do very often. So it's definitely something I encourage. I'm sitting there with them to have that conversation. So it's not just the children telling parents, you need to give me, it's something we have to take with care and get from a professional's perspective what that could look like over the span of time. Yeah.
You reminded me of a book. I read this book. It's called Die with Zero. And he talks about like living your life in such a way that at the end of your life, you have nothing. So maybe it's better to sell that house, give the money to the children now while they can use it to do the same, purchase homes, like trying to do what you can do in the time where it'll be best benefit them best.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because with that 25, like I said, with that $25,000 or whatever the case is, you can't buy anything in 20 years. What are you going to do then? Right. So you have to be in a position where that money could grow. When you pass it on to your children, they can purchase their own home for their family. That money could grow. You can have equity and appreciation. And then that can in turn pay for the parents as well. So that's just, you have to look from an investment standpoint and see where that can benefit just you and them. It's a win-win. Absolutely.
Absolutely. On the side, if anybody is watching and does have questions for Desiree, please feel free to enter them into the chat and I will read them.
There's a chat? Oh,
yes, there is.
Message me later. Okay.
No, we can that way everyone can benefit from the information.
Absolutely. I'm good with that.
Okay. So another question, I know we talked about being proactive, right? And having these conversations. So ideally, we're going to sit down together, have this conversation, make the decision together as a family and move forward.
Right.
A lot of times we're not doing that. A lot of times it is a situation that has come up. So perhaps our loved one is incapacitated. They've had a fall. It's many times it's that you've had a fall. You're no longer able to take your stairs. You can't stay in the home anymore. And it's urgent. Right. So what are some things we can do when it's urgent, because overwhelm kicks in and we're just quick, sell the house. Let's get out. What are some things we can do to still maximize our potential from the home and still support our parents?
Well, you'll call me. You'll call me because you have to have someone that specializes in this area. It's not necessarily just a realtor that knows how to buy and sell. They have a photographer, a videographer, and you're up on the market. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces. So you have to have a team that spans beyond real estate. So I would definitely recommend that you have a sit down, have like a free consultation with myself and a senior living advisor. So you can get the kinks out early to understand that, time is money now. So we have to move. Sometimes even in long care facilities, they give you 5 days to get into the home because you're on a waiting list. And then when you are not able to move that quickly, they could take you off the waiting list. Then you have to go back to the line. Then there's a penalty of 3 months or something to that effect. And then you miss that opportunity. So sometimes you have to move very fast. So you need someone that can go from A to Z and manage those moving parts and take on some of that hassle so that you can think clearly and understand what it is that you want to keep and what it is you want to get rid of in that time. So what I do, of course, is I have a whole team of 20, 30 companies that I can call on to make sure that whatever your needs are when we have that consultation, they're going to be met. So I ensure that you can sell your house quickly, you can sell it for a top dollar and hassle-free. Those are the 3 things that I bring to the table. So it does take a lot, and you have to have a lot of people do it, because I can't do it all myself, and nor should I, because that will take time. So from A to Z, you can have declutters. I can have my declutterers come into your home, declutter the space. I'll have packers come in the very next day. So what you want to keep, they'll be all packed up, ready to go. I can have dump bins ready just on call. I have movers that take it to the storage facility in the process of moving, or take it to your new residence if it's ready already. And then we have storage facilities ready to go. We have landscapers to get your exterior done. We have contractors to get your interior done. There's a lot of that. There's also logistics involved. So I have financial advisors that are on call, mortgage specialists if your children need that for their next move, funeral advisors like yourself that I have ready to go, as well as lawyers that can prepare your will and your estate and your real estate when it comes time for that, because it takes a lot of planning as well. So, and then when it comes to me, when I come in and I actually get your house ready, when everything's decluttered and all of the contract work is done, because there are some things that need to be done to get your house up to par. There's a lot of homes where some people have lived in it for 40 years and done nothing to it. And it may not be ready for the market just yet. I know you love the green paint. I know, but it just doesn't show as well in this market. I will walk them through that process. We have staging consultation. And then of course, my photographers, my videographers, my marketing team, my brokerage, have international marketing as well. And I even have investors that I work with that are looking for off-market deals where it might be a good fit for them. It may make sense. And that can get things done a lot faster when you have all these people on call. Yeah.
I hear that list and all I think is, I wish I had called you, right?
Really?
Because there's so many things. I wasn't in the country, but either way, there are so many things that we don't consider. Right. And then, even as a POA, as a power of attorney, you now have to step in. Whether you actually got the documentation, you've had that done, or you're just the child and no documentation is done. It's even harder because now do I have the authority? Because this didn't all happen in a day.
No.
So the mortgage still has to be paid. Property tax still has to be paid. The grass still has to be cut, while caring for mom, wherever she is, hospital, nursing home, wherever, respite place, all that still needs to be covered. And I think one thing we were talking about before is, as a POA, it can get a little bit difficult because you might not have the rights. You might not have the permissions to even get into the bank if you haven't done all of that yet.
Right.
So you can talk a little bit if you know of any pitfalls that people might go through, whether they're a POA or not, but now trying as the children to take on this role. What are some things that we need to have already so that we're not in that situation?
Well, that's why we need to have conversations before it gets to that point, if we can. If you can ask them, because God will give you signs. You will see certain things that come about where it's like, Mom, you told me that story 5 times today, or Dad, I don't think you can get up and down the stairs the way you used to. Is everything okay? So you'll see signs early. So when you do see those signs, I suggest that you have those conversations very early and see what it is that you can put in place today, because it could get difficult down the line. I did have a client that was power of attorney, and he said, I'm ready to go. I can sign off on anything you need done. Let's get it up on the market and sold so I can help my mother financially. And I said, great. But I find that if you don't have those conversations with the parent as well as the child together, my situation is I like I said, I put all the money up front so that I'll be reimbursed at the very end of the transaction. I got all that done. And I told him, this is what your house is worth. This is the value of your home. And when we sell, you will get many offers and we'll do great and we'll be able to move on. And then at the last hour, the mother said, who said I wanted to sell it at that? No, I want more. And then it kind of all crumbled. And then the son, being submitted to his mom, he's being respectful. He's like, you know what? I don't think you can do this. So it kind of just halted the whole thing. And then, I'm out of luck. So it was a learning experience, though, just to have that conversation. If mom is in the mental space to have that conversation and he's mature enough to say, Mom, this is what needs to be done, and he's responsible enough to get it done, then it goes smoothly. But I've seen it go left many times for myself and some others in our brokerage. So it's definitely, you need a specialist that's been through this and make sure that they are connected to the people that can get the job done a lot easier. Yeah. But a question for you, in terms of the paperwork.
That's an interesting thing, because with your power of attorney. Sorry, go ahead. I have a lag. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. In terms of the paperwork, how smooth was that when you actually closed on the property? Did you find it smooth yourself?
when I closed on the property as a POA,
Yes.
we're still in process.
Gotcha. I found the same.
Listen, it is a long, well, here's the thing. As power of attorney, you have the option of, and this can be determined whether you're going to take possession, whether you're going to be able to act as power of attorney for property, meaning for the finances, whether you will act right away or whether you will act only when they are incapacitated, right? That determination is made already. So if you have it where you can act right away, now you can start doing these things because you've been given that permission. However, if your parent or whoever it is still has mental capacity, they can do that same thing where they can, decide what they want because it's still their money. They're still able. In that time, we're working in conjunction. Now, if they no longer have mental capacity and you are the power of attorney, now you have more leeway to act because they no longer can, right? So once you reach that point, it's just a matter of getting it done. But the problem that can arise is you don't know where everything is. I don't know where all the money is. I don't know where all the paperwork is. Was it registered? Did you do land? I don't know what it's called over here. Land registry. Have you done all of those? Has it been registered with the city? All of that hasn't been done. I don't know.
Right.
So now you
and the contacts and the account numbers.
You have to start from scratch, going through this whole process again. Yes. Exactly. So that is a difficulty in being a POA and taking on this role. So as you said, the more we can discuss it, the more we can determine these things ahead of time, the better. Absolutely.
Yeah. And definitely pay attention to the signs. Definitely pay attention because there's been situations or clients. You're good? Yeah, there's been clients that have gotten to the point where they've waited too long and their parents are showing signs to not just them, but those they come in contact with. And then when it comes to going to the bank or going to the lawyer and trying to get things signed off, they're like, I cannot in good faith have this transaction go through in the state that they're in because they don't necessarily know what is happening. I'm not confident that they know what is happening, or they don't know if you're trying to take advantage of your parents and you look suspect, you look shady. So you definitely want to have those conversations as early as you can. So everything will go smoothly afterwards.
Listen, if I can speak at every POA I speak to now, we have a story about when you've gone to the bank and the banker somehow thinks that you're trying to take everything from your parent. And you're like, I'm just trying to follow their wishes. I get that you need to protect it, but can we work together?
Yeah. And they're like, look at your parents, like blink twice if you're good, I swear this is what she wants. We had this. Don't wait too long.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So let's see. I'll end this with this because I'm looking at the time. Yes. Do you have any final thoughts, any suggestions for those who are in this process, other than to reach out to you? Because we know that's what they're going to do first.
I definitely want them to know that there is help. I know that sometimes they don't, they're not proactive or they don't make the move because they don't know that there are resources available to you to make sure that this process happens. And you definitely want to make sure that you want to preserve the relationship that you have with your parents. You want to maintain a positive relationship. So you don't want to take on all of this yourself. You may not be, I know a lot of kids want to take their parents in and live with them, but that may not be proper in all cases, because you have to understand that we are not equipped with the skills and the tools to handle all of the illnesses and diseases and mental complications that could arise, right? We can't necessarily solve all things with love. Love does not solve all things. You don't. You have to understand. You can't understand what it is that they're going through because you've never seen it before. You never experienced it. So definitely reach out. There are people that are able to help, whether they come to you or you go to them, PSWs or even taking that final transition to long-term care. They have everything there for them. You can have someone come up and check on them. You have nurses, you have salons, you have a laundromat, you have common areas where they can have dinner. They can have companionship and talk with friends and play games and watch movies and have church. It's great. It's honestly, I'm jealous. It is an amazing establishment when you actually get there, and they can be very comfortable and make sure that they're close enough that you can visit them, but not necessarily feel guilty because they are in the best place for them. Yeah. And your relationship with them is positive, and you can continue to love without being down their throat about everything that they should, but they're not.
Yes. Oh,
Mhm.
we had a whole conversation about that with Nicole from Care Concierge about the role of a child versus a caregiver, and you get to
Oh,
maintain that.
totally
Yes.
different.
Okay. Oh, so feel free to tune in and watch that episode.
Yeah.
By the way, Desiree, can you please tell everyone where they can get in contact with you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Desire Properties or Instagram Desire Properties. My email is info@desireproperties.co, not com. It was taken. So, or you can contact me at dealyoudesire at email.com, and my phone number. Just contact me. I'll give you my phone number. Yeah, but WhatsApp is great. I love WhatsApp. I love voice notes. Yeah, you can contact me anytime.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and even if it's just to have the conversation,
Thank
a lot of
you.
people think, yeah, a lot of people think that if they contact me that they're ready to make the move, and that may not be the case. It could just be a conversation. This could be a year, 5 years out, but definitely have the conversation early to prepare.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Thank you for giving us that grace, because you're right. We feel like if I call now, I have to finish everything I have to say, whereas it can just be information.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and please feel free to share it with anyone else that you think could benefit from this. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Take care.
Thank you, Minnelle.
My pleasure.